Welcome to this episode of A Facilitator's Journey. I'm Kirsty, founder of School of Facilitation, and today's guest is a lifelong friend of mine, a man called Dave Freeman. He is a trainer. He is all things commercial skills, and he chose the name of today's episode, The Brutal Truth, because Dave literally, as the kids would say, spills the tea on what it's like to leave the corporate world and start his own business, become an associate, what he had to do to win pieces of work. He shares his turnover for the first 5 years very openly throughout the conversation. He talks about what he did to make the money, but he also talks about what it was like emotionally and mentally on him. So, you know the drill. Go get a drink. Come join me on the pink chair. Settle in, tune in your ears, and enjoy this episode. Hey, Davey.
Hey, Kurt.
How are you?
Oh, bloody marvellous. Thanks very much. Yeah. Kicking ass, taking names. Life is rich and full. It sounds a bit nauseating, doesn't it? But honestly, I'm still the luckiest guy I know. So
I love this. Listeners, welcome to this episode of A Facilitation Journey. You're going to meet Dave Freeman. Dave, the question I ask everyone to begin with, how do we know each other?
It's slightly weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Only in so much as you were at school with my sister.
Yeah.
And are arguably best mates with my son, have been for the best part of...
It's 40 years. We've decided it's our longest living relationship. Actually, it's 43 years. Anyway, people don't need to know that. So there's family history here, and we want to name that there is a big business connection and like working life connection as well.
There is, yeah, which I guess they are linked in some way. It's a very happy link, but I think yeah, I mean we have been connected by my sister, I guess, for many years, sort of loosely. But I guess you and I started talking a bit more because I did at parts when I was working in big hairy PLCs, selling my soul. I did very much enjoy L&D and being a delegate, and I got interested in training. And there had some great trainers whilst I was working at some of those companies like Diageo and Green King, a few others. I thought, wow, I want to do what you do.
I want to do it, yeah.
But then you and I started talking, I think, didn't we? And it's the seed was sown, Kirsty, I think. So yeah.
I love that. And how do you describe what you do?
Oh wow. How do I describe what I do? There's in simple terms, I train commercial skills.
Yeah.
So sales, negotiation, influence, how to say no nicely, how to have an argument with your customer nicely. That's kind of the logical sort of easy answer.
I like that.
The
That's fine.
Yeah.
We can do simple and nodule. He does commercial skills, people. The thing that we all need to know. When Dave and I were preparing for this conversation, he came on and went, right, we're going to talk about the brutal truth of running our businesses and being a facilitator, a trainer, an associate. So I love the fact, Dave, that you've come in and I know the title of this episode, and it just really made me smile. So today's conversation is going to be a very honest conversation about what it takes to run a business as a solo facilitator, trainer, coach.
Yeah. It was. I was reflecting on that, and it's. I don't know. Sometimes I listen to other podcasts, and I don't know. I think it was a Baz Luhrmann quote, isn't it, where he says, "Be careful who's advice." This almost my journey almost becomes potential advice for other people, which I don't really want it to be. They can take away what they want, but Baz Luhrmann, it was a quote. He said, be careful whose advice you take. Very often it's an opportunity to chip off the not so good bits, polish it up a bit, and present it for more than it's worth. Ooh. And I love that quote. I promise anything that I talk about my journey, it will be the brutal truth, warts and all. Yeah.
Wow. So let's get down to it then. What made you leave the corporate world?
Yeah, this is a great place to start. So I had some lovely, lovely experiences in the corporate world, Kirsty, at Diageo and Green King and a few others. And I'm quite happy to name them because I think they should be shamed. um, but so yeah, brutal truth, right? I spent a couple of years at Stonegate pub company, right, and I've been in hospitality and sales. About 2/3 of my 27 year career in sales, and about 2/3 of it, and then about 7 years in operations, pub operations, hospitality operations. And yeah, whilst there are a lot of good people at Stonegate trying to do their best, for me it was everything that was horrendous about private equity and how we had a company values and all of those things that good
Mm.
companies have. But frankly, it was just about frying people for a percentage, and
Oh
there were no
dear.
values in my view.
So the
So,
reason for leaving?
I was my boss. We had a very controlled but very animated conversation about how we managed people, and my entire full team was about 240 people at the time, and we were driving to Birmingham, and it was a very controlled and it was a very nutritious conversation about how we manage people. I did then get a call about 2 weeks later for a meeting, and he did say to me, Dave, I don't think this is for you. And he was right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say I left. I threw my laptop in and exited stage left. I was offered a package. It wasn't really an offer, Kirsty, but at the time it was a shock because I was working very hard and trying to succeed. Didn't see it coming, but in actual fact, it was probably the single biggest career best thing that's ever happened to me because I'm
Mm.
where I am now. So yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it? I think there'll be some people listening to this episode going, oh yeah, something same different happened to me. And what I initially thought was oh my goodness me, my world is about to fall apart, I'll never work again, I'll never pay a mortgage, I'll never pay a bill, has turned out
I'm a
to be
failure. Yeah.
just turned out to be the nudge, nay, shove to move you forward into a new space, into a new world. So what happened after that then? Like I sort of vaguely remember this. So what
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
point of view happened next?
Well, I rang you on a number of occasions panicking. I know that much. But so what happened? It was a big junction, and they paid me a few quid. So I didn't have to rush too much. But it was right. Do I want to go back into operations? No, I'd rather grate my face. Do I want to go back and be a sales, middle management? I don't know. No, I'd rather batter my thumb flat with a croquet mallet. Um, but I had always loved L&D, and I'd always seen you as a bit of a mentor, but at the same time, you I found what you were doing and how you operated and how you behaved and what you did, particularly at Diageo, really magnetic. And I did enter Green King, a Dragon's Den, when I was at Green King. To come up with ideas and stuff. And I came up with this idea, which was the 2-day beer experts training course. And it was all about how do you treat managed houses and unmanaged pub company customers. I was responsible for a large chunk of them at Green King. To manage the category better, right? And it was a small little training course, but it grew and it grew and it grew. And I entered Green King Dragon's Den with the beer expert, and I won it. And I got 10 grand's worth of funding to
Woohoo!
sort of. I thought, wow, maybe I should be doing this for a living. So that, coupled with the fact that I didn't really want to go back to big business,
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, it's now or never, right? And so I'd love to say there was a part of me was inspired, but part of me was necessity because I didn't know I didn't really have a plan B that was in
Yeah.
any way magnetic. So.
And so how did you move maybe from licking your wounds, I've had to leave, to like knowing, like to starting, like what are some of the first steps that you took to help yourself that could be useful for others to know about?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can be. There's some bits of it where you have the light bulb moments. I can
Mm.
remember this bit very clearly. Okay, one, I had the support of my wife and we had a young family at the time, which makes things even more tricky, doesn't it? But there was a few conversations with you, and then you invited me to come and see you, Kirsty. And I came to see you in Winchester, and you sat me down and you offered me some of your time for free. And we sat down and you just asked very good questions. And we did some stuff like, why don't you just design your ideal week? What would that look like if you were self-employed? And we just fleshed out some of those high level stuff. And the more I did it, you just get some clarity, and it just felt right. That would be amazing if I could achieve that.
Yeah.
And if you're running your own business, you do, to a degree, have control over exactly what it looks like.
You do, but look, you do have control, but we forget that, and then we give that that power over to something external to us because it feels easier to then go, yeah, and it's really shit because the market's crap, or this client's been behaving in this way, and then actually the reality is, yeah, but I'm reacting to those external pressures or external situations and factors.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, there are a number of little building blocks along the way, Kirsty. And I whilst I was still wondering if I was certifiably mad trying to do this, because I wasn't in L&D to start with. I was a line manager, and I did a lot of coaching badly, probably. And I didn't really know. But then I came and did an SOF design workshop and a delivery workshop as well up in London with you, with a bunch of other lovely people. And again, it's kind of confirmation. It's like, do I get this? Do I like it? Do I don't? And we had to do, and just all of these little building blocks just built up to a place where it was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing now, and there were a few job offers came in, and it was like, oh, salary, cash, pension, and I'd somehow managed to just not, driven by fear, I managed to keep the show on the rails.
And you didn't capitulate to the
keep moving forward. Yeah. So yeah, and then so I guess next, I essentially had to recut my CV. And then in very simple terms, bearing in mind I'm sort of a commercial career today, I've got to go and sell myself, right? And from largely a standing start. So Dave, how long have you been in L&D? No years. Tricky sell, right?
Well, I think though that whilst that fact is true, you're selling yourself as a person who can coach and develop their sales teams, but you've got 27 years of sales experience in the sector that they work in. So for anyone else listening, yes, it is a truth that maybe you haven't been the trainer or the coach for a long period of time, but you have all that experience, which I promise you is really interesting and wanted by other companies because it's the external perspective. And also you're going to be creating those spaces for their people to learn and to develop and to grow and to, get some new functional capability in this example. In the time that you were like exploring, like, so what does it mean to be a trainer, learning about designing workshops and practicing, like who are you talking to from a work point of view? Like, where were you potentially starting some conversations?
Sorry, Kirsty, around designing work?
No,
or just
as in
work?
finding work, as in
Finding work. Yeah. So without a shadow of doubt, and on advice from yourself, I have no material. I have no, it was all about trying to get associate work. And the model being 100%, my only potential channel was associate work, because I've got no clients, I've got no material, I've never designed any training. So I kind of viewed it as I need to go through a bit of an apprenticeship.
Yeah. For the non-English based listeners and viewers, associate work is like subcontracting. It's when you work for another training agency and you are part of their team, but you're brought in when required versus you're on their payroll 100% of the time. because I've
Yeah,
discovered
exactly.
associate is quite a unique word apparently to us Brits. Some people are like, what is that? But then when I describe it, they're like, oh, you mean subcontractor. Anyway, so
Yeah,
associate work and how, yes, associate work. I think it's a really good way of bridging, like running a business 100% for yourself. I think it's a really great way, as you said, to apprenticeship and to learn, like, what is this world I want to join and be part of? What did you
yeah,
discover?
yeah. I mean, um, I was pleasantly surprised in so much as I got quite a lot of interest,
Mm,
and it seemed the interest was around my commercial background and the credibility I would have in front of heavyweight customers,
yeah,
in that I can stand up in front of a sales team because I've walked the walk and I've got all the scar tissue and made all the mistakes. But also in certainly in hospitality and sort of FMCG, I've been on the sales side for 2/3 of my career, but I've also been on the customer side for 1/3 of my career. So I've understood the dynamics from both sides
yeah.
of the retail line, the retail line really, and um, that got me interviews and some auditions and that kind of stuff. Despite the fact that I had no especially, I mean, I probably hammed up my winning of the beer expert training course Dragon's Den
Doesn't
a
matter.
little bit more,
Own
for a
it.
bit more than it was worth, but not much more.
What?
But
What? I'm going to cut across you. What do associate companies like? What? How does it work? That process of, you talked about being interviewed and auditioned. Like,
mm,
so firstly, I remember you and I talked, like, and I sort of gave you some suggestions of good commercial training companies that I knew of. So that was one. I know that was helpful because some of them you work with. But then what happened though? Because it's not like I got you the job. Like, you had to go and do all the hard graft. So can you just, for anyone's listening, that's like, so what do I have to do if I do get like a, oh yeah, okay, tell us about yourself, or what do you have to do?
yeah, sure. It wasn't especially structured in any of the instances, actually. Um, I think you got me some introductions, and it was a very informal conversation initially, face to face.
Yeah,
There was one company based in Australia at the time as well, but that was all virtual, obviously. But it was a face to face meeting, and following that, I got invited back to do some auditions. So, so one, some, I'd either give you a topic, or they say, "Hey, just bring something and present us something," which is kind of nice. At least takes the pressure off you just a little bit. And they are twitchy. I mean, there wasn't one that was more than, they didn't want to hear it for any more than 20 minutes.
yeah.
But I suppose on balance now, that they would know. They would know
Yeah,
in that
you do
in that
know.
period.
In 20 minutes, I say that I can get a felt sense for someone's facilitation style, and also like the knowledge that someone's going to have on a subject. I guess that's part of the conversation. Like, they're asking you about your experience, like, give us a time. Tell us about a time when you dealt with a challenge, or what was that like? Okay, so expect, and it's interesting what you said, it's the informal conversation, and that I think is true with a lot of the how people find associate relationships. It's often an introduction from somebody who's either on the associate team already, or who knows the owners of the business, and then it is, be ready for a conversation, be ready to sell yourself as well. I think, like, share, don't, you've got to share, this is your opportunity, isn't it? Because if you don't tell them about yourself in that chat, then yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, how are they going to know what you're good at?
yeah, sure. I think it's an interesting experience, the auditioning, and it is twitchy, and you have just got to roll your sleeves up and do it. I had one which went very, as far as I'm concerned, went very well. I utterly over prepared.
No, you over
Yeah, really.
prepare.
And the feedback was great. The owner of the business, there were two other partners, and there was an owner there. And in the feedback, the owner just said, "Well, great, I like this, like that, but I thought the delivery was average." And it was like, "Oh, crikey!" But I did go, "Thanks very much. I'm delighted. I'll definitely take that."
Yeah,
I had one audition where the guy, he stopped me after 10 minutes. Went, I'm going to stop you there,
Oh.
because he didn't like it.
Oh.
Warts and all,
Do you
brutal
know?
truth,
Yeah.
right?
Wow. Thank you. Do you know what it is he didn't like?
I honestly, I'd probably be making it up, but it was enough for him to stop me. But what he did say was, he said, your background is absolutely solid. And he said, there's one thing you've got in abundance. And I said, what? He goes, you've got the likability factor. I think he could see me in front of, he probably looked at it. My content was crap, basically, is what it was, and probably delivered badly. I probably set myself up, and but he was finding the content right. So he goes, look, you're good on your feet. You're quite good fun. The energy's right. You've got a strong commercial background. I'll supply you with material. I think that's where we ended up. So yeah, and I did I did a 5-month project for about 25k with that business last year, right? So it's been a long-term relationship,
Yeah.
not without friction, but yeah, been
Hmm,
very good.
I know.
So yeah, it's tricky.
But what's really, thank you for sharing this though, because I think what's useful for people to hear is it isn't just a case of sending in your bio and your CV and it just happens. Like there is this sort of, I call it the sniff test. It's really unattractive, I know, but it's like you're getting to know each other and you've got to be prepared to go through that. So
Mm,
if you are looking for associate work, subcontractor work, start with your own network and see who sits in there. Or if there are your peers who are freelance trainers and facilitators who are doing associate work, talk to them and see who they can introduce you to at this time. Okay,
yeah.
so the journey, you've left, you're like, I'm going for it. You've started to have associate conversations. How did year one go?
Brutal.
In what
Brutal.
way?
So I kind of had a start date. I think it was like something like the 1st of February or something,
Mm,
just before COVID. I can't even remember what year it was. When was COVID? 18,
2020.
17? Sorry, 20. Sorry, and 2020. So it was 2019 then. But it was I think, right, my business starts on this date.
Yeah.
And I put timelines in where it's like, okay, if I'm not earning, bearing in mind I've got a young family and responsibilities, and my wife was not working at the time. That was our decision, just was earning loads of money at Stonegate, it's fine. It was good to need to work. Whoops. But I kind of put these milestones in about what I need to be earning and
Mm-hmm.
when. And sort of a long story short, after I think it was about 7 months, 7 and a bit months, I had turned over. Bearing in mind, actually, it was a bit of direct work. Actually, it was a bit of direct work, bizarrely, that came to me via someone. But I'd turned over 6 grand in 7.5 months with a young family, and I burnt the cash that I got paid off for. We were in a rented house. Rent was pretty chunky.
Mm.
And I remember for about 2 weeks having, got some, basically passed the assessment for associates, but no work was coming. It was like, yeah, really, like, yeah, okay, we'll see some. Once you pass the audition, by the way, that still does not guarantee you work. They've then got a roster of other people they do trust, and then somehow you've got to get onto that roster. Okay, get onto the ones who actually get the work. But yeah, I remember sat at my desk sending my CV off to other associate companies and trying to sell myself to companies as well. And I literally, I was forcing myself to work really long hours. I got tired, but I remember sitting at my desk and I could hear a noise. And it was like a tapping. And it was something I was shaking. I was
Mm.
stressed, so stressed. And it's quite emotional, actually, because I remember it as
Mm.
clear as day. And for those 2 weeks, it was, this is, what am I doing? What every day? It's what I've got one foot in front of it. Just keep going. And it was a Tony Robbins quote that, I've been Tony Robbins found in the background and in the past. But I remember him saying, if you're starting your own business or whatever it is you're doing, he said, make the decision and burn the bridges. the only way is forward. The only way is forward. And having done what I've done for 7 months, what did I do with the time, man? Having done that for 7 months, I was like, I cannot go back. I cannot turn around now and go back and throw this away. I've got it, the only way is forward. So I just, and then at the end of that 2 weeks, actually a piece of work came in from one of the associate companies.
Yeah.
And it was 3 days of training, which was the content was quite funny in itself, actually. In brief, it was 3 days. It was with a really seasoned, mature, experienced sales team in Frankfurt. 2 days. Honestly, could I not have like core selling skills for a bunch of grads somewhere in like, I don't know, Solihull? Nope. I've got to go to
German,
Frankfurt. Yeah,
seasoned, second language.
Honestly, so 2 days of building trusted relationships, are quite a high commercial, followed by a day of advanced negotiation.
Oh my God.
Brute, like, honestly, talk about the hardest possible start.
And yet, probably a relief to go, I've got some work. I just want to, like, I think it's really, really important lesson here for lots of people, though, is sometimes we make these decisions that we're going to do our own thing, be a trainer, be a facilitator and a coach. And it takes time. And I say this to so many people who have come to me and want to have a conversation about, I really want to leave. I want to set up my own business. And it's like, okay, and it can take half a year before you'll see any money. It can take longer, is what you've experienced. 8-9 months. Are you ready for that? Can you, before you resign, what can you be doing? Because your situation was slightly different. Like, you were suddenly like short, probably, like asked to leave, like, yes, you got some money to leave with, but it still shows, we have to do the planning and the preparation if we're going to decide to create this new world and reality that we're living in. The other thing as well that strikes me, Davey, is the mindset that we need when we're doing this, especially in year one, because you had to hold that line and hold that belief. I was sitting on the outside looking in and was perfectly aware of all. So this is something that will happen to all of you if you're listening to this. Family noise. So the family will all go into like mini spirals because they care and they love about this person who's decided to set up their own business, yet they don't truly or maybe fully understand everything that that individual is doing, you are doing, if you're listening to this. And it's hard. Like, so I know there were times we spoke a lot and I was absolutely fine with that. I think it was the right thing. I think this is another thing why I bang on about how community is really important as we're going through different stages of this journey. And year one is definitely a time where just having people who understand you, don't even have to say, like, try and justify it or explain it. People just go, they give you the nod. Just go, yeah, I get it. How are you doing? Yeah. I get it.
How you doing? And like, honestly, it's like, I've no idea how I'm doing. How do you think I'm doing? I literally,
I'm just sitting here rocking right now. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I've learned that I vibrate quite highly. It's called shaking.
Literally, I shake. I know, it's great.
You have been quite, I'm just going to check this with you whilst we're recording, but we spoke yesterday and you said you might be able to share some turnover numbers. Are you comfortable showing what you turned over in year one?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when I was at Stonegate, I was, sort of just north of 100K, right?
Yeah.
And it was, I've said to you, after 7 months, I paid myself $6,000 and wondered what on earth I was doing. I did that gig, that associate gig. It went pretty well. I appeared to have the likability factor.
Likability, at least you knew that. I've got commercial skills and a likability factor. Do you have that on your bio now?
And then that one particular associate company filled my diary. Wow. They won a couple of big pieces of business. They said, Dave, can you do 38 days? And I was like, Yep. By the
Yes.
way, delivering the same thing 38 times. I did go, great. Really?
Oh my God.
But it was my apprenticeship, and I got to stand in front of a room with different lots of different. So at end of year one in my business, I turned over 26,000 quid.
Thank you.
26,000 quid, and just paid the bills. So,
Okay.
you know.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. And I think it's a reality check for us all. So that was 2019, because I remember this.
Yeah.
So what happened in 2020, Dave?
Yeah, well, so I annualized year one
Yeah.
with 26 grand in my skyrocket, and then and I had 3 months work in the diary, and I was like, right, I can like, yay, and breathe,
Yeah.
okay, and we're away. 5 days later, lockdown, diary
Woo!
goes to zero. Shit.
He says politely on half of the nation of facilitators and trainers out there. I remember it so clearly. Everyone just going, oh.
Yeah, it was that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, so flats been panicked, but then everyone was kind of doing the same. It didn't seem quite so bad. So yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Kirsty, but COVID was an interesting time. That company I've got that associate gig with, it had quite a tight group of trainers, and of course the company's diary went to zero as well, and they're operating globally, quite a big company, and they very quickly galvanized and said, right, we need to somehow deliver virtually, and we need to sell all the programs that we've got in place to our clients virtually, and we need to be credible and all that stuff. So rather than us all just sit at home staring at the wall, we very quickly mobilized into a bit of crowdfunding, unpaid work, but desperately trying to change a load of material into virtual deliveries. Yeah. And actually, there was a real galvanizing of everyone, and we tested a load of stuff, what works, what doesn't, and so I was actually quite busy. And they managed to sell a bunch of virtual work, which we managed to do, and we did a lot of stuff with the NHS and all that stuff. But yeah, it was a rapid evolution. I think, long story short, looking back at COVID now, I think from my personal view is that it's been fantastic for training and facilitation in terms of the hybrid blended opportunity it's presented us all in terms of carbon footprint, disruption, everyone's cost, company expenses, eating an enormous amount of sweet stuff and drinking coffee in lobbies and hotels. You know, I think it's all a good thing, really. So
I agree.
So
I
yeah,
think it definitely has enabled the sell from a training point of view, in that businesses now accept that, you know, you can work virtually and that learning can be delivered through a screen, and there is benefit to then having it blended. I'd never say one over the other. I find virtual brilliant for sharing models and theories and skills, and then in person for the practice and the play and the feedback. That's sort of my rough split on the situation. So go on.
Because you turnover in year two?
Yeah, I was about to say, what was it?
All
Drum
right.
roll, everybody.
Yeah. So 26 grand in year one.
Yeah.
Year two, 27 grand.
We made 1 grand more. Congratulations.
Oh,
Dave.
But you know, nobody really earned any. We're all still trying to work it out. And of course, I fell through every possible crack because
Of course we did. All of us did. Yeah. No money.
Cheerful from the handouts.
So then what happened? Like, what was the evolution of the journey then? So year two is almost like you've now had the baptism of fire virtual learning. So did it start to come good in year three?
Yeah. I mean, we did a fair bit of free work, learned a load of stuff. And by I'm delivering almost no sales stuff now as well.
Right. Okay.
I really enjoyed actually. Learned an enormous amount of stuff. And then year two, we were still in COVID, lockdown 2, didn't we? So there's a lot of virtual stuff, a bit of face-to-face stuff for a moment.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then came out of lockdown number 2. Year 3, 55 grand.
But that's good. That's massive. What changed this time? What changed in year 3?
Yeah, year 3 was just getting more work, and I started working for another associate company and a bit more direct work as well, just coming to me by accident rather than me necessarily selling myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I started to round as a sale as a trainer facilitator as well. Our confidence started to come. You find your own style.
Yeah.
You relax. Suddenly, it doesn't feel quick. Every session you deliver isn't a preparation deadlift session trying to making sure you're over your head. It's just
That's
like,
interesting. It's interesting here you say like year 3 you start to like back yourself. You trust that you know what you're doing and how you're doing it. You've established relationships from an associate point of view that you know people are coming to you. So it sounds like there was a real shift in just how you were thinking, therefore how you were behaving as well.
Yeah, sure. It was just confidence, really. To that point, I did have the luxury of time. I was utterly over preparing for everything, and on that basis, my my hourly rate was like I was probably losing money, but it was a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
It was a learning process that I went through. So yeah, year 3 started to become a real live trainer. I think.
Real life trainer. And in year 3, what was your split of associate and direct client? Do you know that split?
Oh, not offhand.
Was it more associate work though than direct client?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm not going to be able to pull that. I've got the other numbers, because you caught me out because I didn't go
Davey is
quite
Mr.
that far.
Spreadsheet in my friendship group. What happened? Let's just finish because let's get us to year 4 and year 5. What started to happen in year 4?
Year 4. So yeah, this is where I started to niche down. My background is FMCG, drinks and booze.
So FMCG, fast moving consumer good, or in America CPG, consumer packaged goods.
Thank you for translating.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean I've got a big network, and I've taken a bit of advice. I did join another training network, Kirsty, for a little while, but there's some useful stuff there as well. SOF in its current guise wasn't really in existence, I don't think. But
he's digging himself out of a hole, people. I'm ignoring him at this moment. Anyway.
But yeah, so I started to lean back into my network now that I had my confidence, and that's been into my industry. And then I picked up a couple of gigs, one of which was some very well-known ale brands that are right at the top of the sort of market-leading brands. So I was finding a bit more credibility there, and so a few of my old colleagues, it's not what you know, and before I know it, the mix started to improve in terms of direct work and associate work, and then you start, frankly, direct work should pay at least double what associate work pays, and suddenly you start earning more money, and it starts becoming, more comfortable, and you start to believe in yourself a bit more. That then you can, and then you've got that funny juggling act of how much associate work do I want, and actually I can fill my diary with that. But then I'm not actually, and then I'm just an associate, and then I'm just a freelancer. Actually, do I want to be that? No, I want to run my own business, and I want to work half as hard and earn twice as much. Thanks.
I think it's fair. Do you know what the definition of freelancer is, or where the word comes from?
Absolutely no idea.
So Caroline Boyd, who was an earlier guest on the podcast, she did a load of research for her master's on the freelance world and why the psychology behind why we do what we do. But a freelancer is a knight. It was someone who had a free lance, and a lance being the long pole sticky thing that they would kill each other with, and you're a gun for hire. Basically, you are a sword for hire, a freelancer.
All right. Marvelous. I was that.
Yes, you were, but even just the way you're describing it, it's like, I could either go and be the freelancer for another master, or I could be my own master. And what people learn, and it sounds like you were going through that definitely in year 4, is it takes time and effort to like be your own master, to network, to find your own clients, to write, to understand what they need, to write the proposals, to manage the client. So that all becomes a thing in its own, doesn't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, and it becomes an interesting juggling act. But I suppose you sort of have the luxury of having perhaps again, let's not polish this up. Were there times when I had more work than I could do? Yes, there were times when I was like I was turning down. You make the mistake of taking too much, and then you're just stressed,
Yeah,
and something compromised, either domestically or work wise. But it's just part of the learning, and then you have a bit too much. You just get a bit pissed off with associate work and charging around, and somebody paying you 100 quid for an entire day of preparation. And whilst that goes with a gig in some instances, it's like, oh man, I got, so every trainer I've spoken to, everyone has had the same emotion and the
yeah,
same journey and the same kind of evolution of loving it, great. Oh no, I'm a bit bored of this now, and then you've got to swing
yeah,
back and forwards. So yeah, I think that associate um, sort of slash freelance direct work balance is an interesting conundrum, and I mean, my personal view is, for me, the perfect mix is 80% direct, 20% associate.
nice.
I do like associate work with
What is it
companies.
you like about associate work?
Yeah, for what you learn and the places that it puts you.
Mm,
That 5-month gig I mentioned
yeah,
last year was 8 different nationalities across Europe for a medical device company. 8 different nationalities, all virtual. It was selling. It was high commercial levels, selling to third-party procurement agencies, and a lot of complexity, which was, so. Um, we've talked about it before, and I think it was the Cat Hass owns this. Hi, Cat, if you're listening. But Cat gave me some of her precious time way back. Met up in London, and she said, "If I'm going to take a piece of work, Dave, it's one of 3 things, right? Or there's three criteria.
yeah,
Um, will I learn anything?
yeah,
Will it be fun?
yeah,
Does it pay? Right?
yeah,
And if I can tick 2 of those, I'll
yeah,
probably take it. And I've literally, if I'm wondering about a piece of work now, I literally run through that and have an emotion. It's not. There's nothing objective or logical about that. It's just an emotive decision, just based on 3 buckets. And yeah, so associate work, I think, it has the massive bonus of it puts you in different spaces, out of your comfort zone, um, tests you, can be really fun, and totally changes your point of view. You see a bunch of other
yeah.
material, which is always enlightening. It was year 23-24. My associate mix went down to 15%.
Oh, and
Um,
how was that?
well, I got bored.
Ah,
I was like, I was just doing sales training for booze businesses, and I was like, and and then I've made a conscious decision. I've reached out to a few new associate companies, actually, and I kind of, in a nice possible way, have reached a bit of a natural conclusion, maybe with 1 or 2, and with one in particular, no hard feelings.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, so yeah, just look for to shake it up again, right? And I think,
That's really
I mean,
interesting, though. I love the fact that you go, I've got all, like, because a lot of people are like, hey, I've got all my own clients. And then you're like, no, I'm bored of that because I'm just doing all sales training, all in the drinks industry. I want some of the variation that I got by being an associate as well. And I think that's absolutely personally, I think it's a good way to view like my work mix is like, what makes me excited? What am I interested in? Like, what do I need at this time to feel fulfilled? And being able to say, I still do associate work to this day because I get to work with some really big clients on stages, and that I wouldn't necessarily at this point get that opportunity. So I think for me, I use it as a way of like sharpening my saw and keeping my head in a game of and in different spaces.
absolutely.
And I think it's
Precisely.
it's a good thing to do. So what was your turnover in year 4? Because we were going to finish with year 4 and year 5.
Oh yeah, yeah. So year hold on a second. Year 1, year 2, year 3 was 55.
Yeah.
Year 4 was 75. Yeah, and then I'm in year 7 now, and year 5 and 6 were north of 100k. With
Yes.
different kind of. I mean, so my mix this year, right now,
Yeah.
after that big old project, is 40% associate and 60% direct currently, but we're only halfway through. Last year it was in the sweet spot, so that's 24-25 was 19% associate and 81%
Wow.
direct. So that was bang on. It felt good actually. Just reflect. I hadn't done that number until I was prepping for this. Actually, when I look back, I thought, yeah, that was a good year. I enjoyed that. It was a really good year.
And what made it a good year for you?
Um, I was busy, not too busy. I had time to think.
Yeah.
I had time to prep. I had time to sell my own business. It just felt balanced, and it felt. I'm going to jinx myself here. The small business, it felt stable. Oh God, what have I
Shit,
just
why did you
said?
just say that? Were you able to also have time for you outside of work?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, and got a young family and all that, so it's really important. But this year the balance has been even better actually.
Okay.
And I've last year I took a lot of time off. I think I've about 9 weeks off or something like that. And this is the upside of being. I took 3.5 weeks off in
Yeah.
August this year.
Good.
And the business has got the money, and nobody wants to talk to a trainer in a training company in August or any training anyway. So take it off, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the truth, right? That's
Yeah.
it's lovely to have that freedom. So yeah,
I think it's true. You said something earlier, we were talking about the brutal truth and used the niche word, because
yeah,
I know you are going through the process of niching even further down. So talk to us, like in the first instance, you said, I was running workshops that weren't even to do with sales. So
yeah.
tell us about like why are you choosing to niche down at this time? Niche down. I sound American. Like,
Yeah.
why do that?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a yo-yo thing. Most associate companies, unless they're a straight up and down sales training business, for example, or leadership or whatever, one of them said to me, "We don't want you to be a specialist. We need generalists who can stand up and deliver all sorts of things."
Ooh,
Right?
can I just pause you on that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I disagree. I want someone who's a specialist, because if I think about the learners, I want to know that the person standing in front of me has sold, has negotiated, truly understands what it's like to be at the pointy end of sales. I don't want someone who goes, "Oh, I did a bit of customer service training and selling, and I know what that's like," when I'm a hard-nosed FMCG account director. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah. I would add to that, Kirsty, because I think, given the background that I had and the varied background in hospitality and managing teams and then in selling all the sales roles and all that kind of stuff, I think it gave them confidence that I could deal with grisly, seasoned people sitting in front of me, because I've dealt with them in my career, no matter what role or what I'm teaching. They wanted that kind of strength, I think, that sort of that grizzled scar tissue, which means you don't get rattled easy. But I mean, I know I agree with you. Well, those training companies were asking me to deliver all sorts of things, but all in a commercial big business sphere, right? But if you're running your own business, the juxtaposed thing around that is, I was told you've got to niche, because then people get to know you. And if anyone goes, the word of mouth thing, right? 90% of my, 85% of my work now, I'm plucking a number out the air, but I think that's pretty accurate, is repeat business, referral, introduction.
Yeah.
And if you are niche, without a doubt, people go, "Oh, do you know anyone who does this?" And if you are niche and it's very clear what you do, it's very easy for people
Yes.
to go, "Oh, you should chat to Kirsty," right? Or Dave, or whoever it might be. Um, was still doing, I'd niched, but I was still doing other stuff, right? And actively outwardly talking about other stuff. But so it's still niche, but with some stuff around the edges. Because I don't just do sales and negotiation and stuff, Kirsty. I don't just do that. I am more diverse than that, Kirsty, right? But
Yeah, but
actually,
what was happening?
paid for a bunch of training for myself now from somebody who's very, very good. Highly recommend. A guy
Well,
called Jason.
recommend name. That's good.
Yeah, Jason Squires. Jason Squires. You can find him on. He's all over
Over
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah. He's my view is he's very. I've done 2 programs. It's all about automating a lead generation via predominantly LinkedIn, but across all social platforms if you want.
Nice.
All that kind of stuff. But the thing I'm doubling down, quadrupling down on niching on almost one program, not just sales, but one
Wow.
particular product. And it's like, Christ, I can't do that. I mean, like, that excludes me from. No. It really doesn't. As soon as you deliver that with some aplomb, and you get lots of inquiries on that, and you're good, the conversation moves into, can you do this very, very quickly? Or even if that gets you the meeting, most of the time, the people buying don't really know what they need, in my view.
True.
And so they start to give you frustrations and problems, and you go, well, it could be that, but actually, do you know what? Have you thought about this? So whilst the niching is all about just helping the marketplace be clear about what it is and to one particular ideal client profile, right? There was a great analogy that Jason gave me, which is a really good one, and I think it's incredibly profound. He said, you could stand on the corner of a street. I'd love to claim it, but I can't. It was Jason. Nice one, Jason, right? You're standing on the corner of a street and you're going, and there's loads of people walking past, right? And you're going, hi, Jason, sorry, there you go. Hi, everyone. My name's Dave, and I do lots of general stuff. I do a bit of this, but I do a bit of that, and I do some of this as well. But actually, it's this, Nobody takes any notice, right? Thinks you're a bit mad. It's just noise. If you stand on the corner of that street and go, John, 4 guys, heads turn and look at you. You're speaking to one particular ideal client profile.
Yeah.
With the need you understand, and they turn around and they look at you. This is the difference between niching and being even a marginal generalist, not a total generalist, a marginal generalist. But here's the thing, don't get too hung up on the fact if I do a lot more stuff. That stuff will come. This is about lead generation. That's it. It's about lead gen. So get crystal clear for yourself and for everyone else what you do, and it makes it much more easy for people to contact you. And that's the truth.
I love that. Right. I feel like I'm being spoken to. I'm not a generalist because I always talk about facilitation skills, training skills, designing and delivery, but I spread it out in lots of different places. That's the only problem. I love this. Okay. So I'm going to, as you can hear, team, Dave and I can talk for a long, long time. And I'm very conscious that we're coming up to an hour, and I've never done a podcast over an hour. So I'm going to, Dave, I know we've done some good chatting. So I want to say a big thank you for everything that you've shared so far. It's time for the quick fire questions. Are you up for them? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
First question. What advice would you give to someone starting out?
There's so much, and I'm not going to stick to one thing, right? The first thing is, if you're coming out of a big job, maybe it's a redundancy, maybe it's not, maybe it's a conscious decision. My first thing that I say, and so many people who I know from my career contact me and go, Dave, I'm going to be a consultant. I'm coming out. What do I do? How do I? And my first piece of advice is your biggest first single challenge is to not be back on a salary in 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
That's your biggest challenge, because, by the way, it's very likely you're going to have earned Jeff all in your first 6 months. You're going to be wondering what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
And I tell them my story, which I told you.
Brilliant.
And I do the if you're serious about this, burn the bridges. The only way is forward.
Love it. and now listen to this podcast because you'll get even more insights and advice and ideas. Who do you follow in social media land that you think others should too?
Great question. I've got a slightly different spin on this.
Go
I follow that's a lie. 11 influential industry people
on.
on LinkedIn. They're prolific on the social media platform, right? They're highly influential. They're talking about their businesses and what they do, which is largely irrelevant for me. But what I do is I use them as a vehicle to get myself out there. So one, I take very close note of what they're doing with their posting because they've got 20,000 followers and every post they get does 95 comments. And I learn from it. The second thing is I'm one of the people commenting and sharing and liking, and I'm looking at all the people that are commenting, and I'm commenting on theirs and liking theirs and all that kind of stuff. It works unbelievable magic for the algorithm in LinkedIn in terms of getting my profile out there.
Okay. Are you able to name some of the people that you follow?
Oh crikey! I don't know whether I'm comfortable with that. Depending,
okay.
Might be a few more. Probably not, Kirsty. Just
everyone's now going to go and find you on LinkedIn and go, who's he liking? Who's he commenting on?
But by all means, I mean, there are some people that I know well who are big hitters, and you know, we probably both know actually, Kirsty. But you know, there are some who are more active than others. So,
and are these people, just so that if people are thinking like, I'd like to do something the same, is it these are people in the drinks industry because that's your market, right?
Absolutely. I'm very, very careful about the algorithm. You know, I get like a connection request from somebody who makes pottery in the Orkneys or something, and I don't accept it.
Okay.
Because it dilutes the algorithm. Be very, very careful by commenting on, if you're selling yourself, be very, very careful about how you dilute your reach. And actually, you've got to be quite militant about it if you really want LinkedIn to work for you.
Okay. Love that. What book or podcast do you recommend to people?
Yeah. So I've got a great book.
He's gone to get his book if you're not watching this.
There you go. If you are watching the screen, by a guy called Adam Scott. It's called Win Bigly.
Win Bigly? I've never heard this.
It's a play on Win Ugly. But if you can see the image, it majors on Donald Trump actually, but Adam Scott is the guy who does the Gilbert cartoons.
Oh yeah,
he is hilarious. He's an absolute genius, and the book is about master influencers. And he talks about everyone from Hitler to Greta Thunberg and Steve Jobs, but it majors on Donald Trump, right? And no matter what you think about him, he is one thing. He is a black belt 12th Dan in influence and playing the game. And the footnote, which I love, persuasion in a world where facts don't matter.
Ooh.
I teach sales. By the way, we live in a world where facts don't matter.
Yeah, so true. So true. Thank you. I never thought we'd have the cheesy what's it mentioned on the SOF podcast. How have you invested in yourself or your business to support you in moving forward?
Yeah. So, Kirsty, present company accepted you.
Oh, thanks.
I've had free coaching from you. I've paid for coaching from you. I've been on your a number of your programs, and that has always paid dividends.
Thank you.
You have also changed the direction of my career twice. So you are an undeniable positive catalyst for change. So look no further, folks, if you're looking for a bit of coaching, without a doubt, on facilitation or anything else. Second thing is, Jason Squires, actually. I won't wax on about him, but I've done 2 of his programs now. It's cost me the best part of 6,000 quid probably total. And bearing in mind I teach sales and that kind of stuff, it's monkey see, monkey do set up your lead generation using social media and online and email marketing and stuff like that. And I would highly recommend. It's incredibly practical, and it's not there's almost no live training. It's you just sign up, log on, and he bite-sized videos, and you literally follow the process. Do this, do that, do this. So if anyone wants any more information on that, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, and I'll happily just give you a bit of direction and tell you what my journey is and how to use it, and what you need to buy from him and what you don't, or perhaps the right sequence based on what I've learned.
Yeah, that's always useful, I think, for people, because it's sometimes like we get a bit overwhelmed with the marketing. Dave, thank you so much for being my guest today. That has been a really interesting conversation, and I love the fact it's the brutal truth, and that you openly shared your journey and how it's ups and it's downs, and it's sharp corners, and it's awesomeness and the celebration. So thank you.
I readily share all that, Kirsty, because it frankly helps me with my PTSD. So yeah, look, if anyone wants to reach out, wants to ask a question, there are a number of people who helped me, and wherever I can, I always reciprocate.
Brilliant. And people, where can people find you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, LinkedIn is best. If you look up Dave Freeman FMCG, if you search that, I'll pretty much going to pop up. But my business is called It's Not What You Think.
Yeah, but we'll have to have you back for another conversation. Dave, thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kirsty. Always a pleasure.
Oh, what a great conversation. I love the fact that Dave had already decided the title of this episode, The Brutal Truth, and shared so openly his journey into year 7 and what it was like in the early years, like how hard it was. And this man is a salesperson, and he knows what he's doing, and he's, as he was told, he's got the likability factor, but it takes effort. It really does. You need a plan if you're going to come into this industry. And I think there just needs to be a mental preparation as well. It's not just having, like, you can have that plan written out, but you've got to have the resilience to follow it through and give yourself permission to have good days and shite days, if we're really honest. Dave was really generous by sharing his turnover, which I wasn't expecting at all. So again, I think that is super interesting when you hear, the first couple of years is 27,000 pounds. Again, that's a real reality for someone who is an associate. So if you are on the big 6-figure job right now and you're thinking of coming out into this world, I think there's just serious consideration. How do you make that work for you? And like, what is it you need? Like, why? Have some honest conversations with yourself. Like, why am I choosing to step into this world? Because it isn't about making a fast buck, people, as many of us know. What else? I just enjoy talking to Davey. So yes, we've known each other since we were 7. His sister is my best mate as well. She might even be listening to this. Hey, Nick. But Dave has made this all on his own. Trust me. He has put in all the hard graft. So if you've got questions about, like, what does it take to leave the corporate world? How do you become an associate? Come talk to David, come talk to me. There are many, many people in the SOF collective that do this as well and live this world, and we'll have a conversation with you. So come find me. And we've got an amazing WhatsApp group called the SOF collective. It's free, 300 plus global people sit and talk, ask questions, share, celebrate each other, commiserate those moments of fuckwittery. So yeah, come find me and I'll give you the link to, if you're not already part of the SOF collective. Otherwise, thank you for being here today. Thanks for joining me on the pink chair, and I look forward to seeing you next time.